to do something that isn't possible, or to recreate a sound that's in our head. So, I think, it's as more and more has been produced and done, it is harder to come up with something new. But I still have faith that electronic music is at the forefront of what filters down to other types of music.
Mm. But clearly the technology aspect parallel to the music is arguably, I think, to you now as important, if not more, in terms of pushing yourself.
Yeah, I think it is, because we went from the last 20 years or whatever, we went from these big studios costing thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and engineers and programmers, all this crazy stuff, to empowering the individual to have a couple of drum machines, and now having a computer and being in the bedroom. But now I think it's more and more interesting that we're moving out of the bedroom, and creation is really happening spontaneously at the moment in front of people. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to play back anyone's favorite track. It may be in there, but it's more like a stream of, trying to capture my stream of consciousness as a human, and allow the technology to grab that and become something that is evolving and dynamic and for that moment, and hopefully create that experience and that moment that is going to be significant enough that people will remember it like you remember the first time you came to Detroit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, talking, before we go into what's happened here at the IMS, it feels like you're at the start of a new chapter for you, in that, we believe you might go into the studio with Plastic Man and look at doing things with that again.
Is that a question or a statement?
Sorry.
Well, I think everybody knows we've been moving between, from live acts and DJs and studio, and it's all converged. So I feel that my performances now are closer to that stream of consciousness I used to have in my studio when I made really interesting things. And I feel that it's time to, bring those things together even more. I don't know. I don't know if it's ready to completely spontaneously create, a whole new Plastic Man album in front of an audience, but I think that's where I'm going, or where I would like to go. Everything is, and this is kind of bridging into how I feel about the state of the industry. I really feel the pace of technology and the pace of time is accelerating much faster than most of the people in this room want to admit to. The kids of today are so tied to their mobile phone, and they want to manipulate and customize and do things at the moment, for that moment, and then move on to something else. And in my own way, I hope that that's what I'm doing with my shows. That's what inspires me, and that's what technology allows me to do. And technology is only going to allow me to do that faster and faster. And I think, interesting little explosions of creativity can be captured there, and hopefully it be experienced, as it's happening in front of a crowd with your friends, and that's something magical. It's a direct connection to who we are. The technology. This is why the Twitter information makes no difference to me. People are like, how can you release all this information? It's who you are. The time of Sasha having a record that nobody else had are gone. It's not about having, I have some special tracks for my friends who aren't released, but it's not really about that. It's about how all that information that's out there, it's all out there. It's out there now. I don't know why everyone's trying to control and sell pieces of digital records like they're something to put on your hard drive. It's coming, it's consumed, and then it's gone. And it's what you do with it at that moment where you consume it. And when you have that moment of creativity, that's important. And then that becomes the next step of that piece of media. I think you make a song, you release a track, that's the parent. And then as soon as someone does something to that, it becomes a child or a sibling, and then it continues on its own life. You can't control it anymore. You know, okay, so someone's got to get paid here and there for sure, but, you know, stop trying to control everything. You know, we're so holding back creativity, and it's not going to get any easier, and it's not going to get any slower. You know, it's already way too fast for most of the people here.
Well, we talked about yesterday. We asked people in the audience whether people felt they were connected to the youth of today and their audience, essentially. And I think about 76% of people in this room said that they felt they were connected. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's bullshit. You know, we all sat in most of these seminars and conferences, and you know, there wasn't much. There was a lot of talk about digital downloads, you know, and you know, I think everybody's talking about what's happening now and what's obvious. I don't think anyone's really talking about where we're going. You know, I think, you know, Ted and Mark were a little bit outsiders from our little electronic village we have here, and they're the ones who are really thinking forward. There was a little bit of talk about mobile. There was a little bit, you know, some talk about streaming. But I feel that the whole scene, you know, I get a lot of flack because I left turntables and I said some things about vinyl, but, you know, I think a lot of us still have that mentality in our head that people want to own something. They want a vinyl, they want a CD, and maybe we do, or, you know, maybe our generation does, but we're not going to survive. Our generation is only going to buy less and less and less. It's the new kids who we should be focusing on, and these kids are connected to each other. The fabric of their social lives is their mobile phone. You know, they can't, these kids want everything. They want it right then. They can't download and buy everything. They don't have enough money. The iPhone doesn't have enough memory, you know, and there's a certain physical limit to how much you can cram on a hard disk. So, you know, shouldn't we be talking about, you know, on demand, or really this idea that everything really is up there, and trying to build structures, infrastructures, and clearing the bureaucracy to allow music to flow more freely and be there when someone has an idea or a desire to hear something, you know, at that moment, you know, in real time. We were still, you know, the digital downloading is still thinking about, I buy this and I put it on my hard drive. I own it. It's there. You know, if I lose my hard drive, I've lost it. Oh, and then you can call them and they, you know, you can re-download it. But it's still, you're still talking about a physical object that you need to own. I really don't think kids care.
Do you think a lot of people are in denial about what's happening out there in the music business?
Yeah, I think it's just, you know, I think people are getting things confused. They think they have to have a physical object to feel connected to the music that they love, or to the artists that they, you know, that they also love. You know, and we have to find other ways to strengthen that connection that possibly aren't physical. You know, and hopefully at the end of the day, you know, do these things right so that people do actually congregate physically to experience something too, which is, you know, the ultimate goal, and not necessarily, again, that we have to make our money only out of physical performance. Just the idea of people coming together in a somewhat ritualistic way to experience something for that moment that hasn't been recorded. I always go back to that thing from that tape company. Is it live or is it Memorex? But it's like, I don't know if you had that over here, but it's, you know, that's what the whole, you know, a lot of the world seems to be trying to, like, you know, capture it, record it, again, so we can sell it, you know, as this thing. But there is no thing. You know, it's about bringing people together. It's about experience and you know, interaction between artists and an audience, and hopefully now, like, feedback loops. So it's not just like us pushing our music to people, that it's like, you know, I just had a great conversation, and it was like, okay, you send something out, and it goes to the first person, and it goes to the second person, and they get inspired, and hopefully somewhere along that line, something new comes out of it, and it comes back to you. But that doesn't have to take weeks or months or years now. That can happen in a matter of days. You release something, you have feedback on your website, you have Twitter things coming back to you. When we did the Contact shows last year, we were able to send out from stage SMSs to our fans who are in the crowd or at home saying, okay, this is what's coming up, or this is how we're feeling. And they also had access to send messages back to us on the video screen. So, that's where we're at. That's, if you want to talk about, monetizing or anything, that's exciting for me. That's something I would pay to be part of. But, just to buy a track that maybe I'm going to listen to, or, when I DJ, play 5 times or 10 times in my life, that seems a bit ridiculous. I'll pay a little bit for the times I use it. But it's such a, there's so many, the bureaucracy and the companies that are standing in our way are so, up their own ass. They're sitting here saying, yeah, we're doing digital downloads now. It's this is, Final Scratch was debuted in 1999, 2000. This is 10 years ago. I think Mark said something today about, this is a ghost. The writing isn't even on the wall anymore. The writing has been written over, and maybe you can still see that there was something written on the wall, but it's far gone. If you're still talking about that writing or trying to find it, it's gone. You're might as well go home already.
We've heard a lot about dinosaurs in the last 3 days. Anybody who heard Mark Moreau's speech was loaded with dinosaurs. Who do you think are the dinosaurs in this business still?
Well, I think there's a lot more dinosaurs here than we want to admit. I'm a little bit disappointed that the idea of monetizing everything and brand and sponsorship and tying it to Coca-Cola and this and that is the only way we can see to try and make money. I think there's a lot of kids out there who want to be part of this and want to be treated fairly and want to manipulate and play with what we're doing and send it back to us and be part of something. That's what's interesting. That's the future. The social networks and what's out there right now. That's a bit of a vision. It's that's what we need to kind of build, these communities of like-minded individuals. That was what music was all about in the beginning, showing someone, I'm me, this is what I like. And you're like, oh, that person dresses that way, all in black. Maybe I kind of wear a lot of black. Maybe we like each other. Oh, you like Susie and the Banshees? I like Susie and the Banshees. And then, that progresses into a group of people, and then you start having discussions, and then you inspire each other. And that's how things develop, and we need to use the technology to develop those things, and I think we have amazing power to do that, but we have to stop using power to basically become digital brick and mortar stores. That's what it's even, it's
How does it make you feel about your label? I mean, when you look at Minus and what you need to do, leaving here this weekend, thinking, right, what is it I need to do next with the business?
Yeah, well, I thought I had my, some good ideas, but I wrote 15 or 20 pages of inspiring thoughts after listening to what people weren't saying and what some of the people were saying. And I don't know, there's so many things. We've had an initiative, the last year. I've been going back with a friend of mine trying to have something which is, we call the Minus open copyright, so that people who download our music or buy it, whatever, can at least really do with it whatever they want. I thought it was a really simple thing. I was like, let the kids remix, let them rip it apart, let them share it. As long as they buy the first thing, go for it. But there's so many hoops you have to jump through. The people in SOCAN in Canada, do a backflip. We had so many, problems. A couple of years ago, we did this DE9 Transitions album, which I guess was kind of a mashup. We licensed 500 tracks to put into a 55-minute CD, and we're still going back and forth with some people in Canada who are asking for a ludicrous amount of money because they can't get the idea that they need to go into a percentage model and not a per track model, because their whole accounting situation is based upon CDs physically can't have more than 12 or 15 tracks on, because each track is 8 minutes and you have one track after another and everyone gets their money. It's, yeah, everyone should get their money if you're doing that, but there's 300 tracks on at the end of the day, and we're spending time and money when we could be doing really cool shit, talking to these people who just don't understand, and wasting our time, trying to change the law. It's ridiculous. It's like Girl Talk, an amazing artist from America who's doing really cool mashups. Released his last CD on the net basically for free or donation. He looked at the cost and the time and energy it would take to clear all. I think he had 1,800 samples on his CD. It's just like, it's impossible. So what does he do? He doesn't do it. He gets a day job because he's not legally allowed to be creative. That's kind of bullshit. So he just releases it for free. So those artists don't get money. Kids download it for free and think music is for free. So that's not really good either. So nobody's winning. We're all kind of fucked. And that really comes down to a lot of older institutions and bureaucracy that don't want to change and still think they're progressive because they know what a remix is. When they put two songs together, it's way beyond that.
But you do believe that your future audience is out there, don't you? I mean, we did hear one inspiring. I think there was one inspiring thing you enjoyed earlier from a 19-year-old.
Yeah, well, I think Callum was really amazing. I think he sat there and went home. He's probably talking to all his friends, just laughing at how old and how dumb we all are. But yeah, exactly. Like what I really loved about Callum was that he's using the social networking and mobile technology to bring people together, and it's. Meeting at school, and then people buying tickets. It's a really great combination of old world and new world models. It's and giving those, empowering those kids to make their own decisions and feel that they're part of something real. I think that a lot of the people in this room forget that the kids are they're so fast now. They're doing things at 10 that we're still grappling at, and maybe I have these points from a book. I don't know which book this was, but I read it somewhere, and it really describes, I think, what we're facing and what people need to think about, and it describes the kids of today, the teenagers, how they're thinking. And I just read them. It says net geners, or those kids are global. I think we're all still thinking of territories and, borders and this and that. They value freedom of choice in everything they do. They love to customize and personalize. They scrutinize everything, much like I'm sure Callum and those guys are scrutinizing everything that we said and didn't say. They demand integrity and openness. They want entertainment and play in their work and social lives. They love to collaborate. They expect everything to happen fast. They expect constant innovation. And then also after hearing and talking to people and hearing Callum, kids are mobile. Kids want control, and I also think they want transparency. These are the kids that have seen, and grown up with the world we have shaped, but we're not shaping it anymore. They're the ones shaping it, and I think that's what a lot of people in this world, in this room, are forgetting. And we're in a room talking about electronic club music. This is a youth movement. If we want to be connected to that, if we still want to be vital and we want to be relevant, then somehow we have to think like those guys, those kids, and be excited about what we're doing. I think that's why I hope that I'm, have a chance at still connecting to these kids or to the next generation, is that I feel excited about the very technology that is exciting them. Luckily, that's the thing that's been driving me. That's my creative connection to the world and hopefully them. And I think, everybody needs to really, really embrace the technology